dedication, hard work, then fired. Next on Mastering the NEC.
Welcome to the Master the NEC podcast, the ultimate destination for anyone passionate about the electrical trade. Whether you're a seasoned electrician, an eager apprentice, or just someone who wants to dive deep into the world of electrical work, you've come to the right place. Join your host, Paul Abernathy, a true authority in the industry with over 38 years of trade experience, as he electrifies your mind with in-depth discussions, expert tips, and valuable insights that will keep you ahead of the curve. Each episode, Paul will illuminate the complexities of the trade, decode the National Electrical Code, and share the latest industry trends, all while empowering you to take your electrical career to the next level. So, gear up, plug in, and get ready to supercharge your knowledge, because with the Master the NEC podcast, the power is in your hands. Now get ready. Here is your host, Paul Abernathy.
What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Master the NEC, the podcast where I talk about anything electrical. And it can be code, it can be just electrical in general. Much like today's topic, it's more or less a situation. As you heard in the intro, today we're going to be talking about a gentleman, and I will not be giving his name, but we did have a lengthy conversation today. And it's all more the reality of life. And he went from dedicated, doing everything he could do for the company he worked for, being a pillar in the company, always, being a motivating force to the company, doing the best he could, making the company money that he worked for, and then out of the blue, he gets terminated. Yes, you heard right, terminated. The best employee of the company, the one who brought in the most money for the company, thought he was riding high. He had just got a new house. He thought he was at the, he was living the dream. Living the dream, doing like everybody usually does, get up, go to work, punch that clock, come home. And at the end of the day, he's terminated for being the top employee. Now, as we talked about it today, we had a lengthy discussion, and he was explaining that the reason that they terminated him was because they said the company was reevaluating and that he was at the top of the pay scale, and that they needed to cut him. Now, first of all, I said, this ain't no major league ball team, okay? It's not like you're cutting $1 million salaries here. I said, that's kind of sounds like a cop-out to me. But he says that's what he was told. He says that he was at the top of the pay scale for the company, and, they just were going in a different direction. And I said, are you sure nothing else happened? I mean, are you sure you didn't do anything? And he's like, absolutely not. I love the company. I gave everything that I could to the company, and just out of the blue, he was terminated. And I said, and the only explanation they gave you was that you're just a top producer and they can't afford your salary anymore. And he said basically that. So we got to talking for quite a while, and one of the things that triggered to me, and we had a conversation, and I consult with a lot of people around the country. So this was a former student who did very well. I was, very proud to have him in our program, and he was doing very well. And he called me up and said, Paul, can I talk? And I'm like, sure, absolutely. I'm here for you. What do you need? And that's how we got deep into it. And there was no doubt in my mind, even when he was going through the program and he would come to some meetings and, or some of the Wednesday night things that we would do back in the day. And it would just be, stellar, right? Just doing amazing things. And I had so much hope for him. And I really wanted him to someday, go into business for himself. But, he said he was very happy working for somebody else and, being that top guy and all this kind of thing. So again, he was living it good, just got a new house and everything was going great. And then he got this bombshell, and he called me, and he was scared. I could tell he was scared. He didn't say he was scared, but I've been doing this a long time, so I can tell he was, the voice is just a little bit, what am I going to do tomorrow? What's the thing? So we talked through all that, and, I said, okay, I get you got your new house. And I said, do you have a little in savings? He did. He's got a pretty decent savings, so he's been putting money away. That's great. Not living outside of his means. Okay, that's great. He got a mortgage. The mortgage was he just put the down payment down. So it's 30-year mortgage. He says, I can cover the payments for a while. I said, okay. I said, let's relook at this. So some of the benefits of being the best in your company and working for a company and really shining is that you get good pay. You hope you get good pay. The company takes care of you. Okay. You get benefits, hopefully, that type of thing. Health insurance is a major benefit, things like that sometimes people don't put a monetary figure on, but it's a major benefit to have health insurance and all this kind of other stuff. And especially, he's, getting a new house and things like that and has a family. So I got to talking with him and I said, maybe this is an opportunity. I said, maybe we're looking at this. Sometimes we look at these things that happen to us in life and we go, is it possible? Is this God's way? Or is this possible that we're just manifesting an opportunity that may not have presented itself without some type of outside motivating intervention? That maybe something's pushing you to live a dream or focus, or at least try. And even if we fail, we at least say we tried. And so as he was talking, he said, I always wanted to be my own boss. And in the back of my mind, I wanted to, make my own rules. And again, if I fail, I fail. If I succeed, I succeed. And he started saying all the things that I like to hear from electrical contractors who want to get into it, that are entrepreneurial. They start saying things like, I want to have better things. I want to be a better person. I want to have things for my family. I want to feel reward for things that I earn and not just feel like I'm just taking a paycheck. And, I want to feel that feeling. And I am scared at the risks, scared at what will happen if, my savings runs out and I'm struggling. So I listened to all that and I told him, I said, you do have aspirations of being your own boss? I mean, you think you can handle that? He says, no, I don't know that I know how to do all that stuff. And I said, it's being your own boss. Everybody puts it out there as being hard. What's hard about it? I told him, I said, is getting the business. Everything else will take care of itself. He said, can you explain? I said, sure. I said, look, I've been there. I've worked for other companies. As far as electrical contracting, I've always been my own boss since me and my brother started. So I kind of just always went all in. And, when it came to taxes and insurance, it's not hard. People make it hard, but it's not. Today you can do QuickBooks and it does everything for you. And you do TurboTax and you can do your taxes. It's easy to incorporate, whether you become a Chapter S Corp or you become a sole proprietor or LLC. It's all easier today than it was years ago. The internet makes it easy. ChatGPT, TradeHog, all of those intelligent AIs make life a little easier today. You can, I have customers who use TradeHog, for example, that will ask it, they'll put in their paychecks and ask it what is the percentage of taxes they owe based on the state they're in, and it automatically calculates it out for them, and they just pay it. So there are resources. So I said, look, don't let that be a hurdle. Okay. I said, so the biggest thing that you've got to challenge in business is the other stuff will take care of itself. Okay. You can make a call and get insurance. You can find lower cost insurance to get started as a contractor. It's available all the time. Next Insurance is very affordable for electrical contractors, probably like $50 a month. Yeah, I mean, there's options. I said, so at that stage, and he is a master electrician, by the way. So I said, at that stage, I'm like, what's really holding you back? You got a little money in savings, don't you? He said, yes. I'm like, you've got tools, you've gathered enough tools. He said, over time, I've gathered enough tools, because he was doing side stuff too. And some people say, well, that's the reason he got canned. No, that is not the reason. For all you haters out there, his boss knew that he did some side work and it was non-competing with the work that they were doing, which was primarily commercial work. But what he would do on the side was residential, small stuff, but he would do it and he would put that money aside. So I said to him, so how do you figure you've got not what you make or what you made? I said, do you figure you got 6 months of nest egg stuck away of what you would have made, just kind of stuck away, not touching your savings, but do you have some money put away? He goes, yeah, I do. And I said, he says, but I'm scared that I'll just, I won't know what I'm doing and I'll blow it. And I said, well, one of my advices for somebody who's getting started is that there's 2 courses of action. First of all, he wants to do residential. He wants to do residential and service work and all that kind of stuff. So that's good because that's easier than to get into full-blown commercial where you're going to have a lot more equipment and you just don't have the outlay. That's the problem with commercial. You can't jump right into commercial. And when you get those big commercial jobs, you need people. You need things like that. So now you could subcontract a lot of that out. But again, it's a tougher road for a gentleman like this who gets laid off from a company where he's primarily doing commercial work. He's topped out of the company as far as money. And the company itself that he worked for doesn't know how to take care of their employees because it sounds like they don't. Because you don't get rid of the people that are making you money. Okay. Wrong type of evaluation. Now, I know some people out there would say, well, there's got to be something else going on. I asked that question. And I said, I won't mention it in a podcast, and I certainly not going to use your name. I said, so you can come clean with me. He said, Paul, I didn't do anything. I'm telling you exactly what they told me was the reason. And I knew enough of him to know that he was that company guy, right? He's not going to do anything. And they were aware of any little side stuff that he did. So I said, okay, so let's assume you want to go into it. You want to be your own boss. I said, don't let taxes concern you because you can pay QuickBooks. Hell, I'm a corporation. We do a lot. We do way more than he probably does. Okay, so we probably do over $1 million a year in different revenues streams. And I'm like, we use QuickBooks for everything. Simple. It just makes life easy. It just does it. And I said, so it's not brain surgery. It costs us about $100 a month or less to handle all of the bookkeeping. Just easy. And y'all know I have many, many, many business streams coming in. So life can be easier. I said, okay, taxes. We have an accountant, but I do my taxes in TurboTax, and I give that printout. I give that to my accountant. He looks at it, and we go from there. But that's not expensive. It's not a big expenditure. I'm saying, then other than that, you just have to make sure you pay your withholding taxes and everything. And that's easy. You do it all online now. It's not brain surgery. It's easy. I said, in fact, you can ask ChatGPT to tell you all these things and it will break it down for you. It's really gotten that smart. Or Trade Hog will do the same thing under the Office Hog feature. So I said, don't let that be your hurdle. So take that out of the equation. What are you worried about? He's like, well, I'm just worried that I can't find steady work. And I'm like, there you go. There's the number one thing. It's easy to incorporate. It's easy to set a foundation. It is not always easy to get the sale. And just because you build it, that old saying, if you build it, they will come. That is not true when it comes to contracting or any trade. Okay. You have to build relationships. You have to work it on time. You have to use previous relationships and make connections and things like that. But I told him, I said, you've got a nest egg. Let's start by this. You need to make sure that you find out the rules in your state for business license, whether you need one in your local jurisdiction, a local county, wherever you're at. It's usually hardly nothing, but you need to do that. And you need to formulate a name. You need to know if you want to go into business for yourself. You need a name. You need a name that's going to tell people exactly what you do right out the gate. Okay? And so he said he just blew out a name like he'd been thinking about it. And that told me more that he's ready. He's been thinking. And I said, that's a great name. And I said, it says exactly what you do. He goes, yeah. He says, and nobody's got it around where I'm at. And I said, well, there you go. So I said, you need to you don't need to go get a trademark on a name, but you do need to see whether or not your state has a fictitious name requirement. But you just formulate a company and use the name. That's the first start. So you could be a sole proprietor, go down to the local courthouse, get your business license to be a sole proprietor. I said, now, you also need to make sure what your requirements are in your state. And in his state, he was a master. All he had to do was have insurance and put in an application for the contractor's license. That was it. He was already a master. And I said, well, that's great. That would be your next step. You figured out a name first. You went and you got your business license, everything you need. Do this all simultaneous, by the way, because again, it just kind of, there's okay for overlaps here, folks. No need to freak out. So I said, you need to go that. Then you need to formulate the name, and then you need to use that name and apply and get your electrical contractor's license. Once you get that and you're going to have insurance in the state that he was in. They require proof of insurance, but you got to know the name of your company first, right? So people say, no, you got to get your license. No, you formulate your company first. The company doesn't care whether you're licensed or not, right? If you go open up an LLC or corporation and you'll Abernathy Electrical Services is what I had, they don't know that I'm an electrician yet. That's just the business name, but you have to establish your name. And so you establish all that first. Then you can apply and get your insurances, and you can apply and get your contractor's license. And they're going to want the name and all this kind of other stuff and send the application. And once you get all that, you've got your insurances in place. You've got your license, okay, contractor's license. You've got your business license. You know what your official name is. Now, along that journey, when you are submitting for your business, you do need to establish what kind of structure that you want to be in, kind of things to think about. Do you want to be a sole proprietor? Do and basically you'll make money and you'll pay taxes on it just when you do your normal taxes. You'll take it as income, or you can get an LLC. Limited liability corporation, or you could maybe choose to be a Chapter S corporation. You certainly wouldn't want to be a Chapter C corporation if you're starting out, double taxation. So you start out, if you want to be a corporation, there are tax benefits. I'm not a tax person, so you'd have to check with your tax people. I am a Chapter S corporation. I have not lost money for 20 years. I'm always owing money. So at the end of the day, we skip out on that double taxation thing because everything gets into a K-1 that gets carried over to the shareholders anyway, and we pay taxes on it. So I said, you have to determine the structure you want to be, okay? And we're just talking in general here because, again, there's a process for everything, but I'm just kind of talking through him. I'm not doing this podcast to tell you how to do it. I'm just saying how we had a discussion and all the things and putting the cart ahead of the horse and getting the business, deciding the structure, getting your contractor's license, getting your insurances, because you got to have the business name to get your insurance before you're even a contractor yet. Because many states, when you apply for your contractor's license, they want to show proof that you have insurance. So again, every state's a little different. But once you get all those things or accumulate all those things, and you get your contractor's license, I told him that the best thing that you can do to start out is realize that you're going to have to leverage some relationships. Maybe you knew some builders who you go to them and say, look, home builders, because he wanted to do residential. That's where he wanted to be. Commercial is just too much for him right now because he's been there and he saw what it takes, and he doesn't have the tools, he doesn't have the equipment, he doesn't have the people. He's not ready to jump there. But he enjoys doing residential, doing some generator applications, things like that, service calls, troubleshooting. He feels comfortable with that, and he thinks he can make a decent living. So I said, okay, what I would do is, you've heard me talk about when I talk about low-cost marketing. And I am still a big believer in it. I believe that you need to be able to look and determine in your area where you are or the service area that you want to be in, that you try to find homes that were built, 10 years ago or more. Because at that point, right at the 10-year mark, somewhere around in there, it can be as early as 5 years. But if you're picking one, I'd say if you can find subdivisions that's been around for at least 10 years, that there's a chance that they want to freshen it up. There's a chance they want some new luminaires or ceiling fans, or they're adding an addition. There's a probability that they need something that you can offer. And so I encouraged him to locate these communities, these, and also it created a cluster where these homes were in close proximity. So when you go door hanging, that you're actually going to cover more ground, and it just makes it more cost effective for your time. Although you're hungry, so you've got the time. But anyway, I told him, I said, you need to find these subdivisions. And he was like, oh, I know a bunch of them that have been around for 10, 15 years. And I'm like, perfect. I said, so then the next thing you want to do is remember, you gotta start treating your money. You got to sip it. Don't guzzle it. You need to sip it. And that means very frugal on how you advertise, not going crazy. Okay. I know you want money to come in, but you can't just throw money out there, because the old saying is, you're going to have to spend $50 to make $5. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes marketing and ads have to appear in front of people's faces 4 and 5 times for them to bite the hook. It's kind of like fishing, right? You gotta jiggle the bait in front of them many times, and sometimes they just won't bite, and sometimes after the 4th or 5th cast, boom, they bite. Same with marketing. And that's why, for example, you saw people that used to do those Val packs years ago, and you're sitting there seeing, you get these things every month, and you see the same ads in there, and you go, Jesus. After about the 4th or 5th or 6th time, you end up saying, well, you know what? Hey, I have a need for this. Let me call. But you didn't right away. That's very common in advertising. I said, but where you have a leg up on that is that you're direct marketing. Okay. So you're not hiring somebody else to do something for you. You're going right to it. Yes, it's going to mean that you're going to put the legs in, but that's okay, because you're going to get shirts made up that look the part. You're going to dress professional. You're going to get business cards made up as cheap as you can, but look very good and professional, and provide both sides of information on a card, not just one side, both sides. And you're going to be wearing those shoes out as you go from door to door to door in those subdivisions, putting door hangers on those doors. Now, the door hanger, think about at least three things that you want to make available to these customers, whether it is repair damaged receptacles or switches, or adding a circuit, or adding recessed lights, or doing generators, or hanging ceiling fans, or troubleshooting, or renovations, or attic renovations, or whatever for electrically wise. Whatever it is you identify in your area, that's what you focus on these marketing pieces. And you can get them made very cheap over at Vista Print. It's very cheap, and you don't even have to be that talented, because they have online templates that make life easy. The point is, you need to have something to put at the home that conveys what you do. And I recommend getting the kind where the bottom rips off as a business card. Okay. I just do, because, it encourages people to hold on to the card. Okay. If they rip it off the bottom. And I'm also a believer using both sides of everything. Okay. Pay extra to get what you can on both sides, because again, you only have one chance to, once you're in front of them, you want to give them enough information. Next, I said to him, you really do need to have a website. I don't care if it's a basic website, very inexpensive, one-page website. They're easy to make now on Wix, and there's a lot of templates out there that you can just customize it, change the names, and delete the pages you don't need. A simple page that says what services you provide, a phone number, and free estimates if that's what you want to do, and all those type of things. And the reason for that is because, we can spend a lot of money on marketing, but they may not have the attention span to view it. But if you send them to a website, they tend to view it more and scroll. I also encouraged him to create a video of just him talking to his customer and have that on his website right up front. And telling them you want to earn their business, that you're a family man, yada, yada, and that you are growing your business, and that you're here for them, and you're part of this community, and all this kind of stuff right up front. And you don't have to be great at videos to do it, guys. Any of the smartphones today have good enough cameras to do any of this. And I told him that I would help him along the way, kind of mentor him along the way. Anytime he had questions about Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do a video? What should I say? What should I do? How should I do it? And I figured, I've been doing this for so long, and I want to see him succeed. I really do, and do his thing, and I think he can do it. So he says he can pick out neighborhoods and target the audience, and he'll go to like Vista Print. He says he has a local printer guy that he knows, but I did encourage him to just still look at Vista Print because of the fact that they have a lot of the templates. So it's easy drop and drag type of thing. He can just change the verbiage on it. Those things are going to make life easier for him. Plus they have templates already for door hangers and all this kind of other stuff. So I said, don't discount it, or make sure you go check it out. He said he would. And I said, but you definitely need to have business cards and door hangers. And, I said, you got to be hungry. He said, and when you say hungry, Paul, he's heard it on my podcast before. We said, what do you mean hungry? I said, hungry. I mean, when I go to Supply House or I go to a Lowe's or Home Depot, I'm going to be putting this card in the little gasket between the window and the door handle. I'm going to be doing this on at least 2 cars to the left of me, 2 cars to the right of me. You got to be hungry. And he says, oh, I'm hungry. I said, your motivation is to build it up so you have something for your family, and then nobody can let you go. Nobody can fire you. You do your own thing, right? My brother, for example, or myself, other than the fact that I've worked for municipalities, I've always still have my contracting business. But my brother, or my academy, but my brother has never worked for anybody else since he was probably 20 years old, 25 years old, maybe 28 years old, because we started together and then we opened up the business together. But before that, he kind of worked for a company called W.E. Brown and kind of kicked some things around. But I guess since his late 20s, he's really never worked for anybody but himself. And we worked together, and then when we separated and opened our own companies, he continued to work AA Electric, and he's been there today, and he's in his 60s today, and he's made a great living, and he's always worked for himself. He didn't have to worry about somebody firing him, didn't have to worry about being hired, didn't have to worry about a tattoo policy, ear piercing policy. He didn't have to worry about, not that he has any of that, but I'm just saying, he didn't have to worry about anything but his own self. And he's done very well and been very happy. And he never wanted to grow into a really big company. He was very happy with his progression. And so the point is, there is ability. This guy, sometimes opportunity will slap you in the face. He was slapped in the face. Top worker, top earner, cared about the company, felt like he was close to the owners, and then he got terminated. Not because anything he did bad. And so he has aspirations to go out on his own. I gave him advice. And maybe you're in that situation too right now. Maybe things aren't great for you. Maybe you feel like you got more ahead of you, that you could do more. You want to be your own boss. You don't have to be the biggest company in the world to be happy. You can do a lot of side work. You can do residential. You can do service work, generator work. There's so many opportunities today, specialty stuff, low voltage, whatever your niche may be, you have those opportunities today. So if you're in the same situation as this gentleman's in, and all of a sudden you're laid off, and in your mind you're thinking, maybe this is a sign. Maybe this is a sign that there is something else for me. Do I want it? Maybe you're happy working with somebody else and just being a follower, but a leader within that company, and you're okay with the volatility of being replaced or laid off. That's fine. That's you. Or maybe your hunger is that you want to establish something that you control, that you're in top. You're the one that's at the top of the heap. If that's you, then I'm encouraging you to go for it, jump into it. It's okay to do it small and let it grow, let it be organic, and achieve something, because it's out there for you if you want it. We're getting ready to go through a boom, and there's going to be opportunities for you. So I encouraged him to think of it positive. If that's what he wants to do, give it a shot. invest in himself, and he'll be successful. And I'm going to help him try to be successful. I'm going to try to help him, kind of maneuver around the possible pit holes that he could fall into, or potholes he could fall into. I'm going to help him. I can't do that for everybody, which is why I do podcasts and videos, but I'm going to help this young man try to grow his business and be successful, and give him advice where I can. But I think he has a good head on his shoulders, and I think that he's thinking the right way, and he's thinking positively. And I'm thinking he's looking at this now as, at least at the end of our conversation, I think his tone had changed. His demeanor or the voice had changed. It was a little more uppity. When I say uppity, a little more bright, I should say, not uppity. A little more bright and aromatic, and it felt like there's a future. There's something I can do. I can do this. And that's what I really wanted him to feel like. And it seems like that's the direction he's going. So he's gonna find out about his business license. He's got a name that he likes. He's going to determine what business model he wants to do, sole proprietor, whether he wants to be an LLC, whether he wants to be a Chapter S corporation, whatever he wants to do. Let him kind of gel on that and find the differences, and do that way. He's going to find out, what he needs for insurance. I told him there's plenty of opportunity. Places like Next Insurance is inexpensive. There's other offerings out there. He's going to do all that. He's going to get his contractor's license because he is a master. He's going to get his contractor's license, and he's going to do all those things that he needs to do. And then his only worry is, where's the business come from? And then that's when I said, you need to start networking. You need to start calling on people that maybe you've done work for in the past, and let them know that you're in business for yourself now. I told him, I said, walk the talk, look the part. Don't be a contractor and then say that you're not going to invest in shirts and invest in some hats or invest in looking the part, because you need to do that. People say, well, that's the last thing I'm going to spend money on. Absolutely not. Believe it or not, the facade is what you spend money on at first. You give the impression that you're in it to win it, and then everything else will follow. Then I said, if you want to start slow, pick some areas that are 10 years or so or older and start door hanging, door flying, putting some feelers out there. I told him definitely it's got to get a Google My Business listing, a Yelp business listing, a Bing business listing. And I told him I'd help him with those things, because there is a such thing as called local SEO, and being seen by people just going on the internet and using things like Google and all that, because Google favors those type of things. And so if you're not in it, you're not going to be the people that pop up in the list. Okay. So I explained all those little things that you've got to do to be successful. And they're not hard. They're just little checklist things that you got to do. And he said, Paul, can I please bounce things off of you if I forget something? I said, absolutely, dude. That's why I'm here. That's what I'm here for, man. That's what I'm here to give back to the industry and help people be successful. I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm not trying to promote my stuff over Mike's or Ryan's or anybody else's. I believe people should buy everybody's educational tools. If they don't like mine, buy somebody else's. But my point is, I'm here to help. I've always been there to help, regardless of what somebody wants to say. I have always tried to help this industry, and I'm going to help this young man. So if you got anything out of today's podcast, please do me a favor, give it a like, give it a share. Let us know in the comments what you think. Give us a thumbs up. Share it with other people, and do me a favor, make sure you listen to our other podcasts and share them with people where you work. And most importantly, if you have something that you want to hear me talk about, please, by all means, all you've got to do is go to Paul Abernathy, PaulAbernathy.com, and submit them online. And just let me know in detail what you want me to talk about. Ask me anything. Ask me business questions. Ask me HR questions, conflicts at work, anything you want to ask me, even code. Obviously, I'm a code guy. Whatever you want, I'm here to help you. Okay? All right, folks, that's it for today's podcast. Till next time, stay safe, God bless, and hopefully all of your dreams come true. And again, we're here at Electrical Code Academy to help those things happen. Take care. God bless.
Thanks for tuning into another electrifying episode of the Master the NEC podcast. We hope you're feeling more powered up and ready to tackle the electrical world with the knowledge and confidence you need to succeed. Remember, in the electrical trade, knowledge is power, and we're here to make sure you stay plugged into the latest insights, tips, and code updates. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share the podcast with your fellow electricians and industry pros. Until next time, keep your tools sharp, your circuits clear, and your mind focused, because here at the Master the NEC podcast, we're all about sparking your success. Stay safe, stay smart, and keep mastering the trade. From all of us here at Electrical Code Academy, thank you for all your support, and we will see you on the next amazing Master the NEC podcast episode.